Hi, good morning. In the last session, we have discussed one theorem. If W is a subspace of a finite dimensional vector space V, then any linearly independent subset of W is finite and is a part of a basis for W. Okay. Today we are going to discuss some corollaries related to that theorem. Okay. Now, the first corollary is, if W is a proper subspace of a finite dimensional vector space V, then W is finite dimensional and dimension of W is strictly less than dimension of V. If W is a proper subspace of a finite dimensional vector space V, then dimension of W is strictly less than dimension of V. Okay. Now moving to the proof. Given that W is a proper subspace of V, okay, suppose W is not equal to 0, that means there exists an alpha belongs to W such that alpha not equal to 0, okay, alpha not equal to 0. So if you consider this set, then clearly this set is a linearly independent subset in W. As alpha not equal to 0. This is a linearly independent subset in W. So using our theorem, this set form a part of a basis for W. Okay. Suppose B is the basis for W. And alpha form a part of a basis for B means alpha belongs to B. Okay. Okay. Now what about B? B is a basis for W and W is a proper subspace of V. Therefore clearly dimension of W is less than or equal to dimension of V. Okay. That means number of elements of less than or equal to dimension of V. Now B is a basis for V, okay, but W is a proper subspace of it. That means there exists a vector beta in V such that beta not belongs to W, okay, but B is a basis for W. This is a linearly independent set and it spans W. And beta is a vector not belongs to W. Therefore, using our previous theorem, B union beta is a linearly independent set in V. Okay. But this is a subset of W. Therefore, number of elements of B union beta is less than or equal to dimension of V. Okay. This number is less than or equal to. This contains one element more than number of elements in B. This implies number of elements of B is strictly less than dimension of V. Now number of elements of B is dimension of W. Dimension of W is strictly less than dimension of V. Okay, clear? Now moving to next corollary, corollary 2. In a finite dimensional vector space V, every non-empty linearly independent set of vectors is a part of a basis. Every non-empty linearly independent set of vector is a part of a basis. Okay, proof is very easy. Here we are taking W as V. Okay. Now what about the third corollary? Let A be a n by n matrix over the field F is a n by n matrix, okay, over the field F, and suppose the raw vectors of A form a linearly independent set of vectors in Fn. Row, number of elements in a row is n elements. Therefore clearly this is a subset of Fn, n tuple, okay. Suppose this set is, suppose rows of A is linearly independent, then A is invertible. Okay, now moving to the proof. Okay, given that alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n are given that row vectors of A are linearly independent. Let alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n be row vectors of A. Now what about A? Suppose A is equal to, our A is A11, A12, etc. A1n, A21, A22, etc. A2n, etc. an1, an2, etc. ann. Okay, then what is alpha 1? Alpha 1 is row vectors, that is a11, a12, etc. a1n. Okay, and alpha 2, a21, a22, etc. a2n, etc. Alpha n is equal to an1, an2, etc. an. Okay, this is alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n. Okay, and given that this alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n is linearly independent, row vectors are linearly independent, and we have to prove that A is invertible. Okay, that means we have to prove that there exists a matrix B such that A into B equal to the identity matrix. Okay, now let's suppose W is the subspace spanned by alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n. W is the subspace spanned by alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n. So W is the subspace spanned by alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n, and alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n is linearly independent. Therefore, this set alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n is a basis for W. Clear? Okay, W is the subspace spanned by this one, as this is linearly independent. Alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n is a basis for W. Now what about number of elements in alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n? n. Therefore, dimension of W equal to n. Okay. Now W is a subspace spanned by alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n. Alpha is our n tuple. Therefore, W is a subset of Fn. But dimension of W is equal to n. This implies W is equal to Fn itself. Clear? Dimension of W equal to n. W is a subset of Fn. Okay. If W is a proper subspace, then dimension of W is strictly less than dimension of Fn, and that's equal to n. But here we get dimension of W equal to n. That means W equal to Fn. Okay, so W equal to Fn means any vectors in Fn you can write as linear combination of alpha i's. Okay, so we are considering standard basis Ei equal to 0, etc. 0, 1 in the ith position 0. Okay, so this each E1, E2, etc. En you can write as a linear combination of alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n. Suppose E1 is equal to, you can write C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2 plus etc. plus Cn alpha n. Okay, E1. Similarly, E2. So here I am replacing this as some B11. This is some B12, etc. B1. Okay, E2 means B21 alpha 1 plus B22 alpha 2 plus etc. plus B2n alpha. Okay. In general, Ei you can write as Ei you can write as Bi1 alpha 1 plus Bi2 alpha 2 plus etc. plus Bin alpha n. Or Ei you can write as Ei equal to sigma j equal to 1 to n Bij alpha j. Okay. Now what is B11 alpha 1? What is B11? If you look at this one, what is B11 alpha 1? B11. Multiply all this by B11. Okay, so this, what is this one? B11 alpha 1 is B11 A11 comma B11 B11, A12, B11, A13, etc. B11, A1n. Okay. This is our B11 alpha 1. Now B11 alpha 1 plus B12 alpha 2. So B12 alpha 2 means B12 alpha 2 means A21 is the first term. Okay. So this entries become actually B11 A11 plus. Okay. First term in B12A. B12 A21 plus, okay, B13 alpha 3, okay, etc. B1n AN1 comma B11 A12 plus second entry is B12 alpha 2, that means B12 A22 etc. AB second entry is B1n AN2. Okay, etc. That is E1. Okay, EI. Now what about EI? What is EI? EI is 1 0 0 etc 0. Okay. Now what about this element, this entry? If you look at this entry, this is actually, if you consider B as B11, B12 etc. B1n, B21, B22 etc. B2n etc. B11 A11 plus B12 A21, B1 etc. B1n AN1. Okay. So next one, B21 A12, sorry, B11 A12 plus B12 A22. First row, first column, first row, second column, first row, second. So this we will get the first entry of E1. Okay, E1 means 1 0 0 etc 0. So E2 we will get this into all this. That's finally we get I is equal to BA, and that means I equal to BA means A is invertible and B is the inverse of A. Okay. Now we are going to prove one of the most important result. If W1 and W2 are finite dimensional subspace of a vector space V, then W1 plus W2 is finite dimensional. Okay, W1 and W2 are finite dimensional subspaces of a vector space V, then W1 plus W2 is finite dimensional, and this result, dimension of W1 plus dimension of W2 equal to dimension of W1 intersection W2 plus dimension of W1 plus W2. Okay, or you can write like this, dimension of W1 plus W2 equal to dimension of W1 plus dimension of W2 minus dimension of W1 intersection W2. Okay. Now moving to the proof. Given that W1 and W2 are finite dimensional vector space, finite dimensional subspaces, intersection of subspaces is again a subspace. Okay, as both are finite dimensional, W1 intersection W2 is also finite dimensional. Okay, so W1 intersection W2 is a finite dimensional subspace of V. let dimension of W1 intersection W2 is equal to K. Okay, and let alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha k is a basis for W1 intersection W2. Okay, W1 intersection W2 is a finite dimension, suppose this one, and this is a basis for W1 intersection W2. Now what about this one? This is a basis, means this is a linearly independent set. Okay, and W1 intersection W2 is clearly contained in W1. Okay, therefore this is also a linearly independent set, subset in W1, also in W2. Okay, as W1 and W2 are finite dimensional space, this linearly independent set form a part of a basis for W1, similarly form a part of a basis for W2. B1 is a basis for W1 and alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n form a part of a basis for W1. Okay, so suppose B1 is equal to alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n, this form a part of a basis. Okay, alpha k, beta 1, beta 2, etc. some beta n. Okay, now this is a basis for W1. Similarly, suppose B2 is a basis for W2 and B2 is equal to alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha k, gamma 1, gamma 2, etc. gamma n. Okay, this is a basis for W2. Now you consider the set B is equal to alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha k, comma beta 1, beta 2, etc. beta m, comma gamma 1, gamma 2, etc. gamma n. Consider this set. Now we are going to prove this set form a basis for W1 plus W2. Okay, for proving this, first we want to show that this set spans W1 plus W2. Okay, then we have to prove this set is linearly independent. Now what is W1 plus W2? W1 plus W2 is set of all alpha plus beta, where alpha belongs to W and beta belongs to W1 and beta belongs to W2. Okay, now what about alpha? If you take any element, some x belongs to W1 plus W2, x you can write as alpha plus beta. Now what about alpha? Alpha in W1, this form a basis for W1 and alpha is a linear combination of this one. That means this you can write as some C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2 plus etc. plus CK alpha k plus some D1 beta 1 plus D2 beta 2 plus etc. plus Dm beta m. Plus beta you can write as E1 alpha 1 plus etc. plus Ek alpha k plus F1 gamma 1 plus F2 gamma 2 plus etc. plus Fn gamma n. Okay, and this you can write as C1 plus E1 alpha 1 plus C2 plus E2 alpha 2 plus etc. plus Ck plus Ek alpha k plus D1 beta 1 plus etc. plus F1 gamma 1 etc. Okay, therefore this x is actually a linear combination of alpha i's, beta i's and gamma i's. Okay, therefore x is a linear combination of these vectors. That means this set B spans W1 plus W2. Okay, this set B spans W1 plus W2. Now we are going to prove this set is linearly independent. Okay. For this, first suppose that some x1 alpha 1 plus etc plus xk alpha k plus some y1, okay, that's equal to 0. Okay. So x1 alpha 1 plus x2 alpha 2 plus etc plus xk alpha k plus some y1 beta 1 plus etc plus ym beta m plus some z1 gamma 1 plus etc plus zn gamma n equal to 0. And we have to prove this is linearly independent, we have to prove each xi is 0, 0, each yi is 0, each zi is 0. That means all coefficients are 0. And this you can write as sigma I equal to 1 to n xi alpha I into k plus sigma I equal to 1 to m yi beta I plus sigma, you can write j, and some k varies from, okay, you can write some I is sigma I varies from 1 to n zi gamma I equal to 0, and this is equal to sigma I varies from 1 to k xi alpha I plus sigma I varies from 1 to m yi beta I is equal to minus sigma I varies from 1 to n zi gamma I. Now what about this m? This is linear combination of gamma i's, therefore this is in W2. Now what about LHS? This is a linear combination of alpha i's and beta. This is in B1, therefore this term is W1, is in W1. This is in W2, therefore this term is in W1 intersection W2. Left hand term is in W1, right hand term in W2. That means both belongs to W1 intersection W2. Okay, that means this minus sigma I varies from 1 to n zi gamma I equal to is belongs to W1 intersection W2. This implies sigma I varies from 1 to n zi gamma I belongs to W1 intersection W2. But alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha k is a basis for W1 intersection W2. Therefore, this you can write as sigma I varies from 1 to n zi gamma I is equal to linear combination of alpha k. Sigma I varies from 1 to k some ci alpha I. Okay, and if you take this to the right side, sigma I varies from 1 to k ci alpha I minus sigma I varies from 1 to n zi gamma I is equal to 0. Okay, but this is linear combination of alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha k and gamma 1, gamma 2, etc. gamma n. Okay, this is a linear this set is actually linearly independent because this is a basis for W2. Therefore, this set is linearly independent. This equal to 0 implies Ci equal to 0 for every I. Similarly, Zi equal to 0. Clear? This equal to this one, therefore this one. Okay, this form a basis, therefore this equal to 0 implies Z equal to 0. Now Z equal to 0, what happens? Z equal to 0 implies this term equal to 0. That is sigma I varies from 1 to k xi alpha I plus sigma I varies from 1 to m yi beta I equal to 0. But this alpha 1 and alpha i's and beta i's is a basis for W1. Therefore, this sum equal to 0 implies xi equal to 0 and yi equal to 0. Thus, we get linear combination equal to 0 implies all the coefficients equal to 0. That means this set is linearly independent. This set is linearly independent and spans W1 plus W2 implies this form a basis for W1 plus W2. Now, what about dimension of W1 plus W2? Dimension of W1 plus W2 equal to number of elements in this set, that is k plus m plus n. Okay, and now what about k? K is dimension of Okay. Now what about dimension of W1? This is K and this is N. Okay. So K plus M. Okay. So this is dimension of W1 plus. Now what about this one? N. Okay. This is actually this N you can write as some K plus N minus K. Okay. Now what about K plus N? That means dimension of W2 minus K. What about K? Alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. Alpha K is a basis for W1 intersection W2. Therefore, this minus dimension of W1 intersection W2. Okay. Thus, we get dimension of W1 plus W2 equal to dimension of W1 plus dimension of W2 minus dimension of W1 intersection W2. This is one of the most important results. Okay. Hope it is clear. Okay, just revise what we have discussed today. Today we have discussed 3 corollaries of the theorem that we have discussed yesterday. Okay, and one theorem, and the theorem says that if W1 and W2 are finite dimensional space, then dimension of W1 plus dimension of W2 equal to dimension of W1 intersection W2 plus dimension of W1 plus W2. Okay, hope this is clear for you. Okay, in the next class we will discuss about coordinates in a vector space. Okay.